So look at Anthony Ryder from South Lyon, Michigan, recently selected as the Lions 2020 Fan of the Year. He has a passion about sports broadcasting.
With the 112th selection in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Amon-Ra St. Brown, wide receiver, USC. One pride, baby! Yeah!
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Detroit Lions video. Now, over the last couple of weeks, we've talked extensively about the 2023 draft for the Detroit Lions. We've gone pick by pick, first round to seventh round, talking about every single player that has joined the Detroit Lions. But we haven't really talked in depth about the UDFAs. We haven't really talked about the undrafted free agents that not only have a chance to make the roster, but have a chance to play and impact the roster in 2023 regular season. So today I wanted to talk about one of those players, but a lot of people know about Muhammad Ibrahim. A lot of people know about Brandon Joseph or Starling Thomas. But today I want to talk about an unknown player, a player that not a lot of people have talked about, not a lot of players have hyped up, but a player that I think is going to be very impactful in the preseason for the Detroit Lions and could be exactly what most fans were looking for in the draft that didn't end up getting selected. So today we're going to talk about undrafted free agent Cory Durden. Now, Cory Durden is, as you can see, a defensive tackle formerly of Florida State, but most recently of North Carolina State. Last season, or throughout his career, even at North Carolina State, Cory Durden totaled 11 tackles as a defense, or 11 sacks as a defensive tackle, 20 tackles for loss, 126 total tackles, 4 passes defended, and 2 forced fumbles. He was one of the more productive nose to 3-tech pass rushers in at that role over the last couple of years, and he showed explosive play. He showed the ability to get to the quarterback several times over, and he is truly an explosive, dynamic athlete in a very similar way to what Aleem McNeill was when he was also coming out of NC State. Now, Cory Durden, of course, is not as good as Aleem McNeill. However, it is a very similar system. He played a very similar role to Aleem McNeill, and he was very, very productive in the role that he played. Now, taking a look at his pros and cons, Cory Durden is a really fundamentally sound player. He has really good hands. He has good, I wouldn't say great strength, but he has enough strength to hold up versus the run, enough strength to not get pushed, not get moved off the line of scrimmage, and not kind of be moved out of the way by offensive linemen. He might not absolutely, disrupt the pocket all the time. He might not, throw offensive linemen back into the quarterback, but he does have enough strength to get by and does have enough technique to get behind the offensive lineman and get to the quarterback. His motor is really, really high. That's a trait that almost every Detroit Lions draftee or signee has. They have a high motor. He loves football. He has a really good football character, and I believe was a team captain at NC State last season when he was there. That is, again, a trait that the Lions love. They love their team captains. They love the playmakers. They love the guys that love the game, and that is exactly what Cory Durden is. And again, the pass rush is pretty exciting, right? He has really good pass rushing moves, has the ability to get behind the offensive line, get to the quarterback, disrupt the pocket. And that is really a role that the Detroit Lions do not currently have, right? They didn't have a great interior pass rush last year. And I think Cory Durden, despite being a UDFA and probably not getting the most time to start the season, could eventually develop into a really good rotational pass rusher. Now, taking a look at the defensive tackle depth for the Detroit Lions, it's pretty deep, but there aren't a lot of pass rushers, right? Isaiah Buggs is more of a run stopper. Yes, he can get to the quarterback. Yes, he had some good pass rushing reps a season ago, but never really broke out, was never really an elite pass rusher. Isn't your Chris Jones, isn't your Aaron Donald, isn't your, elite interior pass rusher. And I'm not saying that Cory Durden is going to become that player. I'm not saying he's going to become Aaron Donald. I'm not saying he's going to become Chris Jones, but I think he is a better pass rushing specialist than what a lot of our players on the roster are right now. Same thing goes for Aleem McNeill, who also came out of North Carolina State. he is a better run stopper, right? He's a better run defender. And while he did show some ability to rush the passer, he did show some ability to split double teams and get through the gap and get to the quarterback last season. He is primarily a run stopper. He was drafted to be a nose tackle. That's what he's been for the last 2 years. I think this year, with the addition of Broderick Martin, he's going to move more to a 3 technique and have the ability to get after the passer a little bit more. But he's not a pass rushing specialist. He's not one of those guys that is going to get you 6, 7, 8 sacks a season from the interior of the defensive line. And he's certainly not one of those players that's going to get you 10, 11, or 12 sacks on the interior of the defensive line, where I think Cory Durden could eventually develop into a really good pass rushing defensive tackle. Now, Broderick Martin was the 3rd round pick from Western Kentucky, a player of incredible size and a player that is going to be the starting nose tackle more likely than not at the start of this season. But he's not a pass rusher either, right? He's not a guy that's going to get after the quarterback. He doesn't have any sacks, very few sacks in his collegiate career, doesn't really get after the quarterback very often. I think one of the 3 sacks that he had in college was just a free rush. And while I think, again, at the Senior Bowl and throughout training camp so far, he's shown the ability to, get to the quarterback, has shown the ability to string some pass rush moves together. It's not his game. It's not the game that he plays. And I think that's a role that Cory Durden can slide into because there's not a lot of competition, right? Levi Onwuzurike was selected to be that interior pass rusher, was selected to be that guy to be 8, 9 sacks a season from the inside. But if he's not healthy, it's really going to be tough for him to do that if he's not on the football field, right? He was unhealthy his first season as a rookie, but ended up playing 16 games and only came away with 1 sack. But it's hard to judge him because he was dealing with back injuries, because he was dealing with all kinds of stuff that was really limiting his movement, really limiting the things he was able to do, and didn't allow him to be the 2nd round pick that we wanted him to be. And of course, he missed all of last season because of the back surgery. He missed all of last season because he had surgery in the offseason, wasn't able to recover in time, and wasn't able to play at all this season. But he is back for OTAs. He is back for, the offseason programs. He is back for the weightlifting. And from what I've heard, looks pretty good at what he's doing. It looks like the surgery went really well, and he hopefully will be able to return to the field sooner rather than later. But that's really the only pass rusher we have, right? Covington is not really a great pass rusher, nor is Benito Jones. All of our guys are big. They're built to stop the run, and that's why the Lions were successful last year at doing that at points during the season, right? Versus the Giants, versus the Jets, versus the Packers, versus, I would say, the Bears, other than Justin Fields. They were pretty good at stopping the run in the latter half of the year because that's how their defensive line has been built. Their edge rushers are built to stop the run and get after the passer, and their defensive tackles are built to eat up space. They're meant to take on double teams, and they're meant to open up lanes for blitzing linebackers, as Aaron Glenn likes to be aggressive in his defense. But we don't have a pass rushing defensive tackle, or at least we didn't until Levi Onwuzurike got healthy, and now we have Cory Durden. Now, looking at a final grade for this pickup, I think it's a B- grade. I think Cory Durden is a very good football player. I think he has the potential of making the final 53 and potentially beating out a guy like Benito Jones or maybe Chris Covington, but I don't think it's a guarantee. And for me, if you're almost guaranteed or you have a really strong ability to make the roster and impact the team, then it's a B sign. If you have the ability or even the likelihood of making the final 53 as an undrafted free agent, that is a B signing to me. That is the ability to find a roster spot. That is the ability to improve the roster over what was already there and improve the team from what they already were. But I don't think his spot is guaranteed. I think best case scenario, he ends up making it as the final defensive tackle on the roster. Worst case scenario, I think he gets cut, he gets waived and potentially picked up on the waiver wire or stuck on the practice squad of the Detroit Lions. I think he can develop into a pass rushing defensive tackle, but I'm not convinced that he is going to be that role immediately. I don't think he has the consistency yet to really be a full-time starting defensive tackle in the league. But I do think the Lions had a draftable grade on him. He was one of 3 players to get guaranteed money. He was one of 3 players to get a signing bonus as a UDFA. So I think the Lions really do like him out of North Carolina State. I think they had a draftable grade on him, and I think he will eventually stick on the Detroit Lions roster and develop into a pass rush specialist role. Now, with all that being said, that is all I have for you guys today. That is the newest defensive tackle, Cory Durden, a player that is a good pass rusher and a good run defender, but doesn't really stick out anywhere as an excellent player. I think he's going to have a lot of competition in the preseason, but is also going to have a lot of opportunity to improve and make his name known to the Lions. Let me know down in the comments below what you think about this player. Let me know how you feel about Cory Durden and whether or not you think he can end up making the roster as a final 53 member. I'd be very curious what you guys think. But with all that being said, that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you all so much for watching. And until next time, and as always, go Lions!